At the time of recording this video, there's only 64 days left in 2024. And one of the questions I've been asking myself is what would need to happen within the next 2 months for me to consider this year a success and then set myself up for an amazing 2025. Now, I've done a bit of journaling and planning already, but then I thought to make a video showing my process for figuring out what exactly I want, what to focus on, what would be required of me, and then also breaking all of that down into actionable steps. Now, this video is going to be raw. It's also going to be a bit technical, just my whiteboard and I, no fancy edits, but then I promise it will be value packed. So enjoy. Alright, so the first step for me is to write the vision, which are the areas that I want to focus on. And for me, there are two things that I really want to dial in on for the next 2 months to make sure that I'm setting myself up for a very good 2025. And there are a couple of questions here that I'm going to be asking myself. Now, this is the remote work program that I'm currently building at work. If you need a bit more context on that, you can watch my previous video on how I got a remote job. And then YouTube is another area that I really want to dial in on. Now, the first question I'm going to be asking myself here is why? Why exactly am I picking these two things as the things that I really want to focus on from now till the end of the year? And I think this question is very important to ask because I want to make sure that I'm focusing my energy on the highest leverage things, on the things that would really move the needle for me and set me up, like I've said multiple times now, for a good 2025. I don't want to waste my energy focusing on things that are not really important and are not going to move the needle for me. And the reason why I have this here is because right now, where we are with this program is a make or break moment. And what I mean by that is we've recently just started working with 2 people to help them to get remote jobs. And if this works, this is the first time we're ever doing it. If this works, it means that we'll be able to really dial in on it and start to expand it, explore that area, work with multiple people going into next year. But then if it doesn't work, then I would have to spend the beginning of next year now figuring out how exactly we're going to pivot from this to doing something else or starting it again, doing another trial, figuring all of that. It will just make the beginning of next year a rough start if it doesn't work. So this is very important for me to focus on because I really want it to work so that we're able to get into next year and really focus on it, build it out, and it's a smooth transition from the end of this year to next year. Now, the second thing I have here is YouTube. Why is this another area that I want to focus on? For a couple of reasons. First of all is that I get to document, and the idea that by the end of next year, I'm able to look back and see all of these videos is just really important to me. Another, maybe even more important reason for me is the accountability I get by making these videos and then sharing it with thousands of people. Literally, saying that is crazy to me. Thousands of people would end up watching this video and learning from it, and then I'm literally sharing everything that I plan to do. Then I have to stay accountable. I can't come back by the end of the year and be like, oh, I didn't do any of the things that I said I really wanted to do, right? So accountability is also important. And then finally, this could potentially become another income stream. I'm currently in the process of getting monetized on YouTube, and then to think that by making these videos that I would make either ways, right, I could possibly earn some money from it is just insane, and it could set me up to have another source of income going into next year. So that is why I have decided to focus on these two things. Now, the next thing that I have, or the next question I'll be asking myself within this write the vision step is, what exactly do I want to achieve? And in this step, or for this question, I really want to get specific on what I want to achieve in these two areas. For the remote work program, that's the area that I want to focus on, but what exactly do I want to achieve within the next 2 months? And for me, it is really simple, which is to get the 2 people that I'm working with to help them get jobs, right? That is the focus from now till the end of the year, to make sure they get jobs. That's the goal that I have, to help them get jobs. And then for YouTube, it is to upload 9 videos that I'm proud of. I don't know what I should use to represent this. Let me just say 9 videos that I'm proud of, and then outsource the editing process. Right? So outsource the editing process. If by the end of the year we're able to get these 2 people remote jobs, and then also I've uploaded 9 videos that I'm proud of and outsourced the editing process, then I would consider this year to have ended on a very good note, at least with regards to the things that I'm trying to achieve. And now the final question that I have here is, how would I measure these things that I'm trying to achieve? I want to make sure, first of all, that I'm focusing on the right things by asking myself why. Then I also want to make sure that I'm being very specific with the things that I want to achieve. And then finally, I want to make sure that it is measurable. Now, some goals are not as measurable, or the way people set goals a lot of the time is not very measurable, but I want to make sure that I can measure it such that by the end of the year, I'm able to know, did I hit this goal or did I not hit this goal? And for the how to measure this particular goal here is pretty simple, right? It's either they get jobs, right, or they don't get jobs. Pretty simple. Either by the end of the year, the two people have jobs or they don't have jobs. Pretty straightforward. And then for the how for YouTube, how will I measure this? 9 videos, it's either I upload 9 videos, right, or no 9 videos. And then when I say 9 videos that I'm proud of, the way I measure being proud of the video is by something Ali Abdal calls the cringe test, which basically means that if somebody walked up to me in public, right, and said, oh, I've seen your videos before, would I cringe or would I be excited? If I cringe, then it means I'm not necessarily proud of the quality of the videos that I'm putting out yet. But if somebody came to me in public and is like, oh, I saw your videos, and I'm like, yeah, like, thank you very much for watching. So I'm very excited that the person, I'm asking, oh, did you learn something from it? Did you enjoy the video? Was it valuable to you? Then it means I've passed the cringe test. So that is how I would measure, being proud of the video. So I'm just going to put here cringe. Right, and then the final thing is outsourcing the editing totally. Started to do that, currently in the process of doing that, but then I want by the end of the year, I have no hand in the editing process at all. And that is pretty measurable because it's either, I've outsourced the editing process or not. So like editing or no editing. It's either I'm still doing that or I'm not doing that at all. So yeah, this is the first step, which is to write the vision and the areas that I want to focus on. Now, the second thing I want to do after writing the vision is to make it plain. If you understand what I'm doing here, just drop the Bible verse in the comment section. If you don't understand it, don't worry about it. I need to make it plain and then figure out what the requirements are for me to achieve the vision that I've set in the first step. And I've divided this again into the 2 areas, the remote work program, the goal I'm trying to achieve, which is to get 2 people jobs. The second area, YouTube, and then 9 videos I'm proud of, outsource the editing process. And there are 3 steps I'm going to be going through for me to finish up this particular step. The first thing I need to do is to do a brain dump. And a brain dump basically means just like writing down all the things that will be required of you to achieve these goals. Remember, we have a time frame, right? Or I have a time frame of 2 months. So I need to think of all the things that would be required of me, right? Both habits, both just general action steps, everything that I need to do, right, within the 2 months for me to hit this goal. And then for this area also. Now, this step is very important because you need to understand how to get to where you're going to. At least I'm trying to stop, saying you need to do something, because I'm not like telling you directly what to do. I'm just sharing what I did. But then I need to understand how to get to, the goals that I've written down within that time frame, right? And if you struggle with requirements, with figuring out what is required, for example, you could have goals that you have no idea how you're going to be able to achieve them. And if you struggle with that, the first thing you want to do is just find clarity. Try to read books, watch YouTube videos, look for people that have done the exact same thing, and then figure out what do I really need to do for me to achieve these goals that I'm setting for myself. That's the first thing. So now I'm just going to do a brain dump. I have a couple of things written here. For me to get these 2 people jobs, I need to spend quite a lot of time finding companies, right? Finding companies. This is one thing I need to do. I also need to spend a lot of time like creating outreach packages. So I'll just say outreach. I need to build a lot of systems for the work that we're going to be doing. Some of the systems include systems for creating high quality outreach. So I'll just say outreach on here. I need to create systems for finding job postings easily, right? Job postings. I need to create systems for accountability for the participants. Accountability, and to create systems for tracking the outreach, the looms, all of the things that we're going to be using for reaching out to people. And this is not an exhaustive list, right? But, I would want to take more time to figure out what exactly do I need to do? What are the things that are required of me to hit this goal? Now, the second area that I have, right? What are the things that are required of me? What are the requirements for me to be able to upload 9 videos that I'm really proud of, and then also outsource the editing process? The first thing is to upload 1 video per week. That is like the first requirements for me. I need to be uploading 1 video per week, but then I also need to make sure that I'm getting better with all of the videos. So I need to have strategy calls with my editor. Let's see, with editor, right? Then I need to build a couple of systems also. If I'm going to be able to outsource the editing process, there are lots of systems that I'll have to build. Let me know if you want me to make like a totally separate video on like building systems for achieving stuff in general. I need to do systems for like ideating the videos. So I'll just say ideation, systems for setting expectations with my editor to make sure that we're both on the same page. That's not how to spell expectations. To make sure that we're both on the same page and expecting, the same results. Expectations. I also need to create systems for feedback to make it easy for us to have feedback. And I also need to make set systems for reviewing stuff together, for reviewing each video and figuring out like what we need to improve on after each video. So these are the things that I need to do, and a lot of these things that I've written down, right, why I have so much clarity on the things that are required of me is because these are not things that I'm just starting on. I've been doing this for a while now, spending a lot of time thinking about it. For example, the reason why I know I need systems now for feedback and reviewing videos and setting expectations is because I've had issues with this in the past with the editor where, would have something, he would do something, I'll do something else, and then, it's not aligning. I'm like, okay, now we need to build systems for setting expectations. We need to build systems for easier feedback, because if the feedback loop is too long, then it takes more time to create the videos and edit the videos, right? For all of the things here, it's after thinking about it, spending time with my boss, talking through the whole idea, everything, that I know the things that are required of me to build all of this. So the first thing is to do a brain dump of all of the things that are required. And like I said, this is not an exhaustive list, but then, I'd want to spend more time building out the list and figuring out what exactly do I need to do. And I don't need to worry about anything that I'm writing here. Just brain dump, literally just dump everything from your brain onto this sheet or whatever it is that you're using to do it. Now, the next step for me is to figure out the recurring actions here. Now, there are two types of actions that you would notice that we can typically categorize all of these things that I've written into: recurring actions and then one-time actions. Recurring actions are basically things that I would need to do over and over and over again, like habits that I need to build or routines that I need to, build for myself. Whereas one-time actions are things that I'll just do once, right? And I can just keep running with those things. But then recurring things are things that I need to do over and over and over again. So for the recurring actions, I want to look through this list and figure out what are the things that are recurring. For example, finding companies. Let me try to use another color for this. Finding companies is a recurring action, right? Because I need to spend literally every weekday, right, finding companies that these people can reach out to. Another thing that I'll need to do in a recurring fashion is sending outreach or creating outreach packages with the participants. So these are two things that are recurring for me. Whereas building the systems is a one-time action, right? Building systems for outreach or systems for the job postings, finding job postings, building systems for accountability tracking. Those are things that I'll just do once, right? And then I'm running with those systems, and it will help me to make these other two things, the recurring actions, a bit more efficient. And then for my YouTube thing, I need to figure out, let me use blue to show that this is one time. So the red is recurring and then the blue is one time. Now for YouTube, I need to figure out what is the recurring action. One video a week is definitely like a recurring action, because I need to make a video every single week, right? I need to keep doing that over and over again. And then the strategy calls with my editor are also recurring things that I need to do every single week, multiple times a week, maybe even. We need to hop on calls and then figure out what exactly we are doing. But then to figure out what exactly we are doing, I need to have systems in place, which is a one-time action. I need to spend some time with him planning what is the system we're going to be using for ideation together, what's the system we'll be using to set expectations, what system are we going to be using for feedback, and then for reviewing everything that we're doing. So to recap, what exactly I've done for this step, I've tried to make it plain by figuring out the requirements. And I said, if you don't have too much clarity on this, if you try to do this exact same activity and you don't have too much clarity, then you need to just start. It doesn't mean you should hold off on it. As you start it, you get a bit more clarity and figure out the things that you need to do, the gaps in your knowledge, the gaps in your skill, gaps in your understanding, gaps in your actions, right, that you need to fill, which would inform all of these things that are here. And the reason I have all of this, like I said, is because I've been doing these things for a while. So I want to just do a brain dump on all of the things that are required. And then the next step for me is to figure out the recurring actions, things that I'm going to be doing over and over and over again, which here is finding companies and doing outreach. Then here is making a video a week and then strategy calls with my editor. Then the one-time things that I need to do is building systems. Usually systems would be the ones to fall under like one-time things. So that is how I figure out the requirements that are needed for me to achieve the vision that I've set in the first step. The third and final step is to run with it by making it actionable. Now, if you still don't get the reference with the titles, then I don't know what to say at this point. You should probably just check the comment section. The most interesting comment around it, I'll try to pin it so that it's easy for the people that don't understand the reference, right? But then there are two things that I need to do in this step. Now, for this step, the majority of this step, I'm actually going to be going to my laptop and then sharing my screen and showing you how I'm doing all of that to make it actionable. But then as of right now, all we have is a list of the recurring actions and then the one-time actions that we need to do to get us closer to the goals that we have, or to get me closer to the goals that I have, right? But then I need to make it a bit more actionable. I don't just want a list of things. I want to like make it more actionable. Like, how do I move forward from here? What do I need to do to make all of this practical and to actually, run with it? And then for the recurring actions that I have here, what I need to do is to block out time. Now, this might seem very simple, right, and very straightforward, which is to block out time. But I found that by actually blocking out time to do these things, then I make sure that I'm actually, when I have that section of time on my calendar, for example, which is what I'm going to be using in this particular case, but then you don't need to use a calendar. Once I have a section of time that I'm going to be doing this every Wednesday by this time to this time, every day by this time to this time, every Sunday by this time to this time, then it makes it a bit more practical and it's easy for me to run with it, right? Versus just having, the brain dump that we had earlier. And then for the one-time actions, what I'm going to do is to take some time to actually flesh out those one-time actions that I need to do and then create a to-do list. Like a giant to-do list. It might not be giant, but like creating a to-do list. So the things I'm going to be using here is a calendar, right? Over here, and then a to-do list for me to write down the things, the one-time actions that I need to complete to make sure that I'm getting closer to the vision that I have. So right now, I'm just going to dive straight to my computer and then show you how I'm going to practicalize this particular step. The entire point of this step is to just make everything more actionable and more practical for you to actually run with it. And for the one-time tasks, the solution or the thing that I'm doing here is to literally just flesh it out and have a document or a note on my notes app or a page in Notion, whatever, note-taking system you use, to have the things that you need to do or the things that I need to do here. So I've just fleshed out a couple of the things. I'll still need to take a bit more time to actually think through all of these things, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to leave it here. So now I have a document showing me all of the things that I need to get done, and I'm treating it as a to-do list, such that once I'm able to complete all of the things that are here and then also be consistent with my recurring tasks, which we'll get to in a bit, then the likelihood of me making progress and getting to my goal is much higher. So for the recurring tasks, typically what I use for that is a calendar. So this is like a fresh calendar for like next week, for example, the things that I used to do that I need to do next week. And what I've done here now is to block out time for the recurring tasks. For example, sourcing companies from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every single weekday, and then crafting outreach from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. every weekday, right? And then for the YouTube stuff, I have a day for filming typically that I would select in the week, right? Where I'll just block out time to film whatever it is I need to do. That's to target the upload once a week or make a video once a week. Just block like 2-3 hours that I need to film. And then also the strategy call with my editor that I need to have. So I just have that blocked out on the calendar, so that every single week, right, I have the meetings there, it's on there on my calendar. So at this point, what I need to do, right, remember we started from having the focus areas and breaking everything down, and now what I need to do is simply just be a slave to my calendar, right? Just do the things that are on my calendar. It's not every single time that I follow everything like to a T, but then the goal is to try to follow it as much as possible, and then also to tick off the things that I have on this to-do list. As long as I'm doing those two things now, I can actually run with it because it has become a bit more practical and I really understand the things that I should be focusing on to get me closer to my goals and to secure the rest of this year and make sure that I'm prepared to start 2025 on a very good note. I'd love to know what your feedback is on this particular video. Personally, I like watching technical videos where I get to pick something practical and actionable from the video and apply it into my life, which is why I decided to record this particular video. I'm not exactly sure how this video will land yet, especially since my audience has grown a lot in the past couple of weeks. So please let me know if you like this video or you don't like the technical stuff. You want me to stay light and then keep the technical stuff to like my newsletter, for example. If you do like the technical stuff though, then I'm sure you like this video over here where I break down my entire productivity system in Notion. It's right here. Finally, if you want me to do exactly what I've done in this video with you, you can book a paid call where we'll sit down together and walk through your entire life and then give structure to the things that you have going on, similar to the way I did right now. And then you leave with something actionable that you can actually work with and then begin to make progress in your life. You can just click on the link in the description. It should be somewhere there in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you watching till this point, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.